get people down and kick them, man. Get the motors going. Let's get the motors going. Draw. It's clean, nasty.
To the 20, to the 15, to the 10. Stutter step over the 5, and he's in. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
It's not a round check this week, but we got a mystery guest, and we got to welcome my boy, Mike Fan. How's it going, bro?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on, dude. I'm excited. Especially with all the news today. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we got a lot to chime in today, man. But speaking of what's been going on, man, it's been the Twitter world. Everybody's been divided by this quarterback stuff. So I know you kind of been in between the middle. You're kind of like having the little Twitter battles, and everybody just has their own opinion about Brock Purdy, and then they have their own opinion about Trey Lance, and everybody's on the Sam Darnold train. So it's like, come on, man, what's going on? But we can go with the QB battle topic.
Well, first of all, I was stunned that Brock was cleared this early. I guess he had been rehabbing for 4.5 months. I haven't really been paying to the timeline as close as some people have. But hey, him being healthy is only a good thing for the Niners. I would still love to see what Trey could do, man. I know Brock Purdy is probably going to be the starter if he's healthy. According to Kyle Shanahan, he's going to get first reps once he shows up. I know he's not gonna practice tomorrow because he'd been throwing previously. They have him on a pitch count, even though he's unrestricted. They have him on a pitch count, so they're just trying to ease him in, which is good. As long as he gets to week 1 healthy, that's all that matters. So,
Yeah, I think.
Again, I like I like Brock. I like Trey. I mean, it's unfortunate that the Niners traded so much draft capital for a player that's only played 4 games, been hurt, been scrutinized more than any quarterback in my 43 years of living that I've ever seen. So I feel bad for him, man. But, you know, not to jinx anybody, but this team doesn't usually go one whole season with just one quarterback. So Trey might still get his opportunity. I still expect him to come out guns blazing in the preseason and in practice and show us his new. I'm sure everybody's seen the videos. His new throwing motion. It's definitely a lot quicker. It's a lot more compact, and he's been working with a couple of quarterback gurus this offseason. So he's doing all the right things. Outside of winning the job so far, Trey Lance has done nothing but not only support the guys that are there in the quarterback room, but do everything he can to be the best player he can. And that's really all you can ask for. I know a lot of people want to see Trey succeed, whether it's here or elsewhere. I'm just glad the guy's healthy. I'm glad he's improving, and it can only do the Niners a good thing if he goes out there and plays really well. So I'm excited for the season in general, man. I'm not on one boat or the other. I'm a Niner fan, man. As long as we win, I really don't care who plays.
I mean, whoever is the best man under center, and, you know, Brock Purdy, when he was healthy, he was actually proven to be a really good quarterback. But, I mean, it's hard to lose a job when it's during the offseason and you actually proved yourself. And I know this was like a difficult situation. We traded a lot of draft capitals, but I like what Trey's doing this offseason, put in some extra work, and actually wanted to improve that accuracy and different type of stuff. His footwork was something that he needed to work on. And, you know, as a quarterback, he was known as a mobile quarterback, but I think what people didn't realize, he wasn't quite used much as a passer in college, you know, very limited in college. Like, he was more of a dual threat. The Niners were trying to be too cute with him, try to use him like how he was in college, but they could have slowly tried to build him up more. But, you know, as far as like the quarterback situations, I feel like we have really good quality depth. I don't think it's going to be much of a concern as long as we don't get to Sam Darnold, which I think Sam Darnold is capable guy that can step in if a disaster happens. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's going to repeat itself. I think we're going to have at least a healthy quarterback this upcoming season, because all it took was just that quarterback for us to get to that Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, true, man. I'm rooting for whoever plays, man. I want the team to stay healthy in general. You know, I know a lot of people have chosen their sides, and that's that's fine. But I just want to see the Niners win. So
yeah, I might get a couple controversial guests here and there, but everybody has different opinions. Everybody has their own taste of their own type of players they enjoy watching. But like when I look at the team, dude, I'm just tired of us going further here and there. But we want to win. We want to win the damn thing. So it's like it's nice to go to.
Man, I agree. We waited long enough. I'm old enough to have been alive for all 5 Super Bowls. I don't remember the first one. I was still a baby, but all the other ones I remember. So it's been quite a long time, man. And
it's been a while.
NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, NFC Championship game. I mean, we're like the bridesmaid, but we're never the bride. You know what I mean? So
yeah, pretty much. It's
just stay healthy and kick that door in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I could barely remember the last Super Bowls because I was such a kid. So it's like so long time ago. But I know this is something that most fans are probably thinking: is this going to be a concern? Because Nick Bosa, I think it's got to do with the contract situation. So it's like Nick Bosa, he's going to get his big money, but I don't know when he's going to get his contract. I think it's either this week for sure. What do you think?
Judging by what I've read and judging by what Kyle and John said, it should be any time now. He's only sitting in, basically because of the way the CBA is structured. I know David Lombardi was posting that he could get fined, but I guess he looked it up and said that he could get fined up to $40,000 a day, but the Niners can waive it because of the fact that he's on a rookie deal and this is his 5th-year option. If he was a veteran, it would be different. They wouldn't be able to waive those fees or fines. I'm sorry. To me, it's just a matter of banging out the contract, finding the happy medium for the team and for Nick Bosa. The guy deserves to be one of the highest, if not the highest, paid defensive end in the league. So I have no doubts in my mind that this is going to get done. Whether it gets done today or tomorrow, or the end of the week is yet to be determined. But Nick Bosa will be here. He'll be here for a long time. He's going to get paid handsomely, and I don't see this being a long drawn out contract situation. So I don't think fans really have anything to worry about.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I just think it's got to do with him something that's financially good on both sides. So it's like, I think from looking at the contract prediction, I think he's getting between the $30 million range, which is, I think he'll probably either get $33.5 million, which is probably like really good pay for him being the top pay at the position. But maybe from what I'm hearing, Bosa wants something reasonable. He doesn't want to handicap the team as much. So I think he's kind of looking for a team-friendly deal. I don't know if he's just saying it just to be a team player, but I'm pretty sure a deal will get done. I mean, it usually during training camp or before training camp, we get a deal done with these certain players. So I think it's not going to be any different. So when we look forward to these upcoming battles, man, which position battle are you just excited to watch?
I was just talking about this with my buddy yesterday. The running back battle behind CMC is going to be really fun to watch. Mitchell's back healthy. You got Jordan Mason who's coming, and hell's coming with him. And then you got a guy like LeBourne, who we got undrafted free agent. You got a guy Ty Davis Price, who's been here for what is it? His
last year.
Yeah. So I mean, that running back room is going to be really interesting to see who comes in off the bench for CMC. Elijah Mitchell is the incumbent. He's been here the longest. But Jordan Mason, man, I love the way that kid runs. That kid runs like his hair's on fire and like he's trying to earn a big contract. And Mitchell's no slouch either, man. The guy just needs to learn to stay healthy, and he's an automatic 4 or 5 yards every time he carries the ball. So that's a position battle that I'm looking forward to. Tight end is another one I'm looking forward to.
That's the one I like.
And those two kids, the one out of Alabama and the one out of Oklahoma, Latu, and Willis. I just think all those guys are going to do is just give Kyle more more pieces on the board to use and to utilize in different spots. I heard Willis could play fullback. He could play tight end. He could play slot. He could play out wide. So I'm really excited for the new guys that are coming in that spot. Not to take anything away from Ross Dwelly, I just think the Niners raising the bar as far as athleticism, speed, hands, and being able to utilize them in more than one way. That just screams what Kyle's looking for in his players, man. Nobody's allowed to be a one-trick pony on this team. You got to be able to do more than one thing, whether that's play multiple positions, play special teams, etc. So I'm really looking forward to that battle as well. And then on the defensive side, the edge rushers, I'm really interested to see how guys like Antonio Bryant play. Robert Beal was drafted, I believe, in the 5th or 6th round out of Georgia. He's a big kid and he runs 4.4. I would love to see him come off the bench on third downs and just be a pin your ears back type of guy. Use that speed and athleticism. Imagine him and Drake Jackson coming off the edges on third downs. That would be a lot of fun to watch as well. And then the secondary. I mean, the secondary. Diamador Lenoir is probably going to start on the other side of Ward, but and then we got the new kid Isaiah Oliver off free agency,
who could play the nickel.
Best nickelbacks in free agency. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the depth that we have across the board. I think pound for pound, I think I said this last year, but I'm gonna repeat this. I think this is the best team, top to bottom, that the Niners have had in Kyle's tenure here. So, like you said, all the way back to the beginning, man, it's Super Bowl time. We just got to stay healthy. I firmly believe this. The NFC is ripe for the taking. This is probably the worst I've seen the NFC in maybe
quite some time.
Yeah, there's only a handful of teams that are really, really good. All the other ones are on the cusp. There's going to be a few surprise teams. I have no doubts about that. But I feel like if the Niners can just stay healthy and keep the quarterback position healthy, that we can run all over this NFC and get to the Super Bowl and finally win it.
I think it just really has to do with the way we stay healthy as a team collectively, but the position I'm more excited about is the tight end position, because I feel like, I agree with you. Ross Dwelly just doesn't he's not your typical athletic tight end. He's a guy who catches the ball. He's not quite a good blocker like everybody says. I mean, then you got Charlie Warner. He's more of a designated blocker. So it's like you get a tight end from Alabama who can do pretty much both of everything, but he's more of a raw project, but he can get better. I just think Braden Willis is just more of a complete player. He kind of does everything. Like you just said, he can play fullback, but I think in certain package, he can do stuff like that. Like he could be a slot receiver. He can be your number 2 tight end. He could be a mismatch. He can do everything. It's like that's the position I'm more excited about the most. But as far as like other positions, like you said, I think secondary is probably going to be more intriguing because of Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks is going to make the secondary better because of his resume and his track record and the guys that he brings, the guys he brings to the table. Like, they're going to play hard for this guy. So any of those guys we got in the secondary, bro, I think I see the production increase with the interceptions. Like, we didn't just get Isaiah Oliver for whatever reason, bro, because he's kind of like a Steve Wilks type of dude. You look at the guys that we drafted this year. These seem like Steve Wilks guys. And I get that Diamador Lenoir is the starter, but everybody's sleeping on Lenoir. And I think Lenoir is going to silence some doubters this year. And I'm not just going to say it just because his sister is a big fan of my channel, but I feel the need to give him some respect. And I got to give some respect to Lenoir. He steps his game up. And it takes compliment, just the fact that one of his siblings comes on to give me compliments and tells me how much of a good job I'm doing, I got to at least give him some love there. I don't even bash him like that.
That's funny.
No. But if you ever seen one of my little like short videos, she goes in the comments and then she tells me that you better talk about my brother. You better report about him. And I said, I got you. He's on my sleepers. I always got him as my sleepers for whatever reason. Because I always felt like he can prove something. Oh, shout out to this Cleveland Browns fan, which I'll definitely get him on the show. Which when we play the Cleveland Browns, it's kind of hard to find a lot of Cleveland Brown content creators because there's not a lot of them that are interested. But yeah, that was an interesting Monday Night Football where we did dismantle the Browns back then. But it's a new season. We shall see. Demo versus the Eagles, man. We'll see. But that's right. My boy's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I've been on this hype train for a while, and I know a lot of people have been writing him off, and I think I'm probably one of the very few guys that's kind of been giving him a lot of props, and maybe I'm guilty because his sister just comes on my show and becomes more of a supporter. I don't know why, but you got to support one another, you know what I mean?
That's right.
It's just, I mean, he has his moments, but I think he'll get better. He just has to play more, and he's actually kind of outperformed Abry Thomas, so I think Abry Thomas is going to probably be the odd man out of the team because there's a couple of guys that might take his job. You have Darrell Luter, the rookie we drafted from South Alabama, and we got this kid that plays cornerback at Texas, Deshaun Jameson. I'm intrigued by this kid.
Yeah, he back to the whole not being a one-trick pony. He also returns punts. I'm sorry, kicks. Yeah, I'm a big I like Jameson. I'm a huge Samuel Womack fan too, so
Oh yeah,
you're probably right. Ambry Thomas, just by sheer numbers and talent, not necessarily because he's regressed, but just because of the numbers and all of the players that they've drafted recently. He might be the guy that's not on the team this year after training camp. But yeah, I really liked Ambry Thomas when he first came out. He showed a little bit. He played pretty well. His rookie year down the stretch. I mean, he had his moments. He wasn't perfect, but yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, he might be the guy that either goes to the practice squad or just gets cut and goes somewhere else.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys. And, since we're going to throw a couple of these cut guys, who do you think is going to be the most surprising cut that might catch some fans' attention? Like, if you're being realistic about it, like,
I don't. That's interesting. Well, I mean, TDP is up there. If TDP doesn't perform and fight off this LeBourne kid that we just got in the undrafted free agency pool, he could be. I don't even think he'd be that big of a surprise. And unfortunately, I think he was also a third-round pick. And I know how fans get on Kyle for taking these third-round running backs that never pan out. But, I mean, yeah, if TDP doesn't show up and show out, he's probably going to be a cut. This is probably a wild statement, but if Gibson gets beat out by I think you pronounce it Jari Brown.
Jair Brown.
Yeah, and then we also got that Hartfield kid, the what you were saying, Wilkes.
Yeah, he's a Wilkes guy from Carolina. Yeah, Hartsfield.
You never know. I mean, if Brown sets the world on fire and takes his spot, you might see Gibson get cut. I don't think that's going to happen, but those are the only two that I could come up with right off the top of my head. This is a pretty loaded team, and also with the practice squad being so big, since you get 15 players, even if these players get cut, they'll end up on the practice squad anyway. But I fully expect Jair Brown to start as the third safety, the first guy off the bench.
I think he will be a starter down the stretch, baby. So I think he could be the guy to take the spot. But I think as far as a surprise cut, in my opinion, like this is possible. I believe this is a possibility. We might cut this player. It might even come down to trading him if we have to. Like, I don't know. It may sound like an unpopular controversial, but I do think that Elijah Mitchell, when he's not on the field, bro, that's just the problem right there. But I think there is trade value for a team that wants a running back. But I don't know if it's going to happen. You know, maybe I'm overreacting. But
if they want to stay with the younger guys, Jordan Mason, I mean, he did get hurt a little bit his first year. But if Jordan Mason, LeBourne, and TDP both all step up and someone blows the Niners away and gives us a third or a fourth or even a fifth. I think Elijah Mitchell was a 6th or 7th round pick. If
He was a 6th round, but yeah, if we get something pretty good offer,
I don't something for him. I with the amount of depth there, if someone wanted to blow the Niners socks off and give him a 3rd, 4th, or 5th, I could see it. I'm not against that.
And I think this may even come as a bit of a surprise too. Like maybe Ray McCloud might be a tradable candidate because we got some other guys who can do more than just. I mean, like you got Jameson who could make a case for the returns. You got Danny Gray who's a speedster, could do some stuff too. Those are possible cuts, but I don't know. I think Ray does a lot more in our offense, but we just don't use him as much, like in certain ways. We use him more as a return
player. He's not a guy. He's
a gadget.
He's a package player. He's not a guy who's going to play every down.
Yeah.
You got Jawan Jennings who mans the slot.
Third down.
So Ray's never going to be a full-time guy.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued by Ronnie Bell. I want to see how this guy does. We got this kid from Michigan. He could make some tough catches, and he was coming off an ACL injury too.
That Pearson kid that they got from, I think it was the USFL or the XFL.
Yeah,
that guy looks like I guess he was the MVP of that league. He looks like he could be a nice little gadget player. Throw him a little bubble screen, get him a couple carries, a jet sweep, something like that. I think that kid could be used. I think that guy would definitely make the practice squad.
Yeah, because he's still a guy with the experience, and he's a slot receiver too. So, you can use him in different ways.
He's small though, and that doesn't fit the current Kyle mold of guys who are big and who can block. So I don't know necessarily if he makes the team and spends significant time on the active roster. But
yeah, he had Gabriel.
A nice little piece if Ray went down.
But then he had this one receiver from Atlanta. Last name is Gabriel something, but he was like a really small slot receiver, very effective too.
Oh yeah.
And Hawkins was another guy. Andrew Hawkins was another slot receiver he coached.
Yeah.
I mean, the last one we had was a Trent Taylor, but that dude never panned out. He couldn't stay healthy.
I love that guy, man. I
was high on him too at one point.
I really thought if it wasn't for the fact that Kyle switched to all those big, physical, dominating in the run game receivers. I love Trent Taylor, man. I thought that guy was going to be something, but he never made it. I mean, he plays for the Bengals. He was in the Super Bowl not too long ago. So shout out to Trent Taylor for sticking with it and carving out a niche on that team. So good for him, man. I'll quietly root for that guy as long as he's in the league.
I mean, he was somebody that we were rooting for. I mean, he was kind of like your typical Cole Beasley or Danny Amendola type receiver. But there's a lot of these trade talks that could happen. I heard there's another slot receiver who can be available, but he happens to be in Las Vegas. You know who I'm talking about?
Hunter Renfrow. Yeah.
I don't know. I heard
of that. I don't mind it. Isn't Hunter Renfrow like 6'5"?
No, Hunter Renfrow's about a 5'11" or 5'10" receiver. He's kind of like if you look up his size, bro, he's like a typical slot receiver. Like he's an undersized wide receiver. I think he's about 5'11", 197 pounds. But he's a really good receiver when healthy on the football.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's only 5'10". I thought he was tall.
Nah, he's a 5'10" receiver.
Yeah, my bad.
I don't know. Like I would think if we were to take a flyer out of this kid, bro, I think we would do a lot more on this offense. Besides, you can have Jennings on your third down package plays, but you can have like Renfrow on certain plays where you need those reliable plays, and he can make those simple catches too. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can utilize him.
Juwan Jennings has got good hands, man. I'm not discounting Juwan Jennings. That guy is a third down machine, and he looks like he's, unfortunately, that guy's only been getting 1 year deals. I think if he pops off this year, he's probably going to go somewhere else and get paid, which he deserves, man. That guy's everything Kendrick Bourne was and a little bit more.
I think there's more about him that you can like. I mean, he's got a big body. Like he's kind of like a Terrell Owens body size. I mean, he's got the physicality like an Anquan Bolden. Not fast, but does the job, blocks right. I mean, I don't understand why the Niners don't even bother to give him a reasonable contract. I think he is a a stable to this offense. I mean, you let this guy go, I don't know if Ronnie Bell would replace that production. I don't know if any other guy would do that. But Jennings he's a blocking specialist, but he does more. Like you just said, he's exactly what Kendrick Bourne could be, but then some.
I also think them paying Ayuk here pretty soon and next year has something to do with that. So you can't pay them all, man. I love Jennings, but if I'm choosing between Brandon Ayuk and Jennings, I'm taking Ayuk, and Jennings can go get paid somewhere else. But I agree with you, man. He fits the mold perfectly for Kyle, and that's why they keep bringing him back. So hopefully, when that time comes, we can find a suitable replacement.
Or hopefully no team bothers with him and we take him on a very reasonable contract and get him on a multi. But
the cap goes up every year, so you never know. You're right.
You never know. But I think realistically, if I'm being smart, I would think they want to invest more in Ronnie Bell in the future, not now. But I think he would be the guy they want to be invested in. Like, I think when you look at Ronnie Bell, he makes the tough catches. He kind of seems exactly what Shanahan wants in his wide receiver. Make the tougher catches, but block and do everything that's necessary. And
I didn't watch a lot of Ronnie Bell, and I had to watch his highlights. I agree. He's a tough receiver. He's got good hands, but I think he's still a little too short, and I don't know if he can be the monster blocker that they prefer. So I think Ronnie Bell is more of a long shot as far as making the team and sticking for the future. But you know, we'll see what happens in preseason, man. It's just like Ayuk had to sit in the doghouse and learn how to block and block consistently before he was able to pop off. So, you know, it's not a bad thing when Kyle treats the receivers the way that he does. I know a lot of fans don't like it and they want them to just play right away because they were drafted, but that doesn't always that's not always good for the player, the team, now and in the future. So I like Ronnie Bell. I think he can. I think right now he could be like a fourth receiver, maybe a fifth receiver, if there's any injuries. But I don't think he fits the mold to a T yet. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I mean, we'll see how training camp plays out. Sometimes there's always that surprise player that just comes out and balls out of nowhere, and then it's somebody that we read off and say, oh, he's going to be cut. He's not going to make the team. And he somehow makes the team, and it's like, wow, this guy had a great preseason. This guy makes the roster. He looks like a damn stud out there, and it's like, I guess we slept on this dude. So it's like, yeah, but, you know, I think as far as our defense, man, I think it's still going to remain really good. I think it's going to be more effective as far as like getting to the quarterback. I mean, I'm just more intrigued by the fact that we went in this direction and we decided to go for a Javon Hargrave. I mean, that was just surprising just to make that move. I feel like our defensive line is just getting better on paper.
Well, yeah, that was the biggest takeaway from last year, that even with Nick Bosa, even with Eric Armstead, we needed something else, and we were lacking pressure and sacks and production from up the middle. No knock on Eric Armstead, but getting a guy like Javon Hargrave for the price that we did just shows you that not only Kyle has from day one said that he wants to build this team from the trenches, and the fact that we keep investing and reinvesting, and we usually carry 7, 8, sometimes 9 defensive linemen on game days proves that. So to get a guy like Hargraves, who's 30 years old, so he's getting up there, but he still has a few elite years left. Putting him next to a guy like Bosa and Armstead, if Drake Jackson, or even any one of these other players that we have can step up and be that bookend partner with Bosa, this whole D line is going to eat. This whole D line is going to go through the roof. So I love the Javon Hargrave signing. It was Niners identified their biggest need, and they ponied up and they addressed it, not with just some middle tier guy like they normally do. They went for the gusto and got the best free agent available. And I'm really excited. This is probably going to be one of the best defensive lines we've had. I know some people might not like this, but since even the 2012 defense and even in the Super Bowl defense, I think this is going to be right up there with those. So shout out to John Lynch and Kyle for identifying the need and going and getting the best player.
Yeah, and I'm very intrigued by that because the 2019 defense, that defense was so physical and ferocious. We had some quality depth guys that stepped in and played pretty well. I feel like the depth chart this year, it's not going to be as concerning. I like the fact that they even drafted a kid from last year, and I think they're already speaking highly of this kid, Khalil Davis. I'm hearing a lot of buzz about this kid.
Oh yeah, he looks like I said this on the last show I was on. He looks like someone sped up DJ Jones tape.
Man,
I immediately thought of the Tasmanian Devil. This kid is built exact. He's built like a bowling ball.
And he played linebacker too.
Oh yeah, he's fast. He played defensive tackle. He played defensive end, and he played linebacker. He's got quick feet, quick hands. Like I said, he's basically a DJ Jones clone, but a little bit faster. I'm really excited about him. Imagine a big guy like Kinlaw next to a guy like Khalil Davis. Just that difference in playing style next to each other. That's going to be a really difficult matchup. Don't sleep on these second and third wave guys, man. The T.Y. McGills of T.Y. McGill. I love that guy's game. The fact that Minnesota let him go is I don't know what
mind blowing.
Mind blowing. The guy was awesome. I think he could start in a few places if we're being really honest. And some of these other guys that we have on the bench, I mean, it's gonna be really, really fun to see, especially with Kinlaw being knocked down to the second wave and not having any pressure and being able to just basically go out there and show what he's made of, whether he's auditioning for his next contract with us or he's auditioning for another team. I'm just rooting for that guy in general to play well, stay healthy. Hopefully that knee's better. He did lose a little weight. He's not as brick house as he was before. But yeah, that defensive line altogether is going to be really fun to watch, man.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that depth. Like Drake Jackson has an opportunity to prove himself, and I think he's going to be one of my breakout players because one, Hargrave and Armstead and Bosa's going to make his job easy. So this should be some opportunities for one-on-one battles. But when you look at the quality depth behind those guys, I mean, Colin Farrell, I think he's kind of like wasn't a fit with the Raiders to begin with. I think what I like about Kocurek is he knows how to utilize them better than most coaches have done. I mean, you look at a guy like Arden Key, he was just a cast off and afterthought with the Raiders. Then he comes into us, looks like a beast. Maybe there's something there with Colin Farrell, like something about those Raiders cast off. We seem to have something. We seem to have some better coaching in this situation. And then Austin Bryant is a kid, another Clemson product that came from Detroit. This guy has a really good get off. I don't know how, but he cannot stay healthy. But there's some talent there.
I'm a big fan of Austin Bryant. I know there's no stats to back up that statement, but the guys, I watched some of his tape, his highlights, and like you said, if he can stay healthy and Kocurek can hone that get off and he can get around those edges, I have Austin Bryant breaking out. He being another like Charles Omenihu type, or Arden Key type, where he gets 5 or 6 sacks coming off the edge on the second or third wave. The Niners are so deep they can have guys who have 2 or 3 sacks in the third wave of these defensive players, man. So I'm really excited about the talent that they might not be big names, and they might not have shown a lot in their previous stops. But if anybody can get all the talent and squeeze all the talent out of these players, it's Chris Kocurek.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that we tend to get are the ones that were underperformed from a previous team, didn't look so well. I mean, this is a perfect example. We're getting a kid like we had Arden Key a few seasons ago, but I'm talking about Colin Farrell. This kid was a first-round pick. He was the number 4 pick.
Oh, yeah.
This guy was picked over a couple of players. A player that the Raiders should have picked, but they didn't get him. So they got
all
this
about coaching, man.
is all about coaching, but
All about coaching.
there's something there. There's something that you can coach with this kid.
Oh yeah.
So I watched a couple of films of Colin Farrell, and what stands out is he's really good against the run. Really, really good against the run. There's a couple of flashes where he will get to the quarterback, but it's not consistent. But if Cassera can coach certain areas of his game, bro, I think this kid can be raw and probably cash out elsewhere.
Yeah, a lot of these guys come here to get their career back on track and get paid. So I'm not surprised they turn them in and out, man. That's why when we lose these players, I'm not too worried about it because I know whoever they bring in, they're going to maximize their production. And, like always, they just cycle them through. So don't be surprised if a few of these guys that we picked up pan out and get paid just like last year. So,
yeah. I think Austin Bryant and Colin Farrell are on that trajectory, so they could be looking for a big payday elsewhere. But I don't know, something about Colin Farrell. He might just be that guy that just comes in as another Arden Key. And then you see a lot of these Raider fans saying, oh, man, he could have been something better. They were talking smack about Arden Key a couple years ago. Now they're all sucking up to this guy. They might even have that same feeling with Colin Farrell. So who knows?
Yeah.
But I feel like there was a couple of holes we could have addressed. But I think maybe with the offensive tackle, I think they really like what they like with Colton McKivitz, man. I think McKivitz, he's a solid pass blocker. He's an okay run blocker, I wouldn't say. But do you think he's more of an upgrade over McGlinchey at this point?
Well, I mean, let's get one thing straight. Mike McGlinchey was one of the best run blocking tackles in the league. At one point, he was the best run blocking right tackle in the entire NFL. So I said this on the other show that I was on. He's a little less of a run blocker than McGlinchey is, but he's a better pass blocker. He doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler. In my opinion, all McKivitz has to do is just be solid. He doesn't have to be an All-Pro. He doesn't have to make the Pro Bowl. He just can't make the same stupid mistakes as McGlinchey did here and there, and get the quarterback hurt. I don't see that. They passed on all the tackles in the draft this year for a reason, because they believe in this guy. And I know a lot of fans don't like it because on tape he's played guard, he's played left. I'm sorry, but he played left tackle against the Rams and he didn't allow a single sack. I know that's on the left side, and I know that's only one game, but the kid has potential. And people were bad-mouthing Aaron Banks. They had no idea what Jake Brendel was going to be, and nobody knew Spencer Burford was going to start. They thought it was going to be Daniel Brunskill. And Aaron Banks had a borderline Pro Bowl season last year. And Jake Brendel played top 5, top 7 center last year as well. So I am not going to make any snap judgments based on a position that Colton McKivitz played sparingly before, and not the position he's about to currently play. So I think, do I think he's going to be a top 5 right tackle? No, I don't. But I don't think they need that. He just needs to be serviceable. He just needs to be good enough. And I know everybody says, well, the teams with the best offensive line, they get to the Super Bowl and win. And I get that. The Chiefs have a very expensive offensive line, and so do the Bengals, and I get it. But I trust that Kyle has a plan for this. I trust that Kyle isn't just going to leave that kid out on an island, especially week 1 when you're going against a kid like Highsmith, who had like 11 sacks last year, and TJ Watt is coming back, by the way. So the Niners are going to be tested week 1 in the pass rush. So Trent Williams and Colt McKivitz are going to have their hands full with those two guys. So if we can make it through week 1 and win that game, and McKivitz can block it up and not let TJ Watt have a career game, then I think we're going to be okay. And I don't really think Colton McKivitz has to be a superstar right tackle.
He just has to be solid. He has to do his job. That's somebody.
Well, we run the ball we run the ball more than most, and we throw a lot of quick stuff. It's not like our quarterbacks hold the ball for 5 seconds 30, 40 times a game. That's not how Kyle gets down. So I think fans are a little bit too worried about this. I'm not as worried because we're not the Chiefs. We're not going to throw the ball 40 times. He's not going to be in pass pro for 4 or 5 seconds 30, 40 times a game. That's not the way the Niners play offense. So I know it was a little long-winded, but yeah, I think whoever's playing quarterback is going to make sure that Colton McKivitz isn't going to have to block for that long, so we don't have to find out whether he can hold for 4 or 5 seconds.
I mean, as far as McKivitz, it's just more about being a very solid blocker and doing his job. I don't think he needs to be as good as everybody says. I mean, like you said, McGlinchey was a really good run blocker, not quite a good pass blocker at times. But I don't know. As far as the front office, they've always had the most of confidence with the guys they have. And, I'm not a big Jake Brendel fan, but I got to give him his props. You know what I mean? Even though I gave him a hard time and he blocked me on Twitter a while back, I still got them receipts.
Well, he played really well. I think he allowed maybe 1 or 2 sacks last year. He was a really good center last year, man.
Ever since I called him out on that Falcons game, that's when he stepped up his game, and I guess he blocked me from right there. Maybe he might have took the anger out of it and just said, okay, I'm better than that now.
No offense, nobody on the offensive line really played that well in that game, so it wasn't just Jake, I promise.
No, but Aaron Banks, he did a lot better than expected. But Burfer was somebody that I had on my radar during the draft, and I had him on my show during the interview. And I just had a look at what he was all about, and he told me that he played guard the first 2 years in college before he even played right tackle. So it gave me an idea this could be the pick the Niners are going to get because they look at versatility, look at other talents. And what stood out about Burfer was this guy was willing to improve a lot. So he was willing to train hard, and he bulked up a lot of muscles this upcoming offseason. So you kind of get the feeling that this kid's going to be good too. So I think the Niners, as far as the interior line, it's all about continuity. It's all about continuity. So if you got guys that work well together, it's going to be great. But if you have a different amount of lineups, it takes time to gel. So for me as an offensive lineman, because I played it before, you have to have a good continuity with one another, and you got to gel. And you got to have that same chemistry. Because the center is like the quarterback of the position.
Oh, he's definitely the quarterback of the offensive line. I'll give you that.
Yeah, because when I played some center, bro, I had to be the one making the adjustment calls and doing this and that and snap count when the quarterback tells me to snap. Or like when they're doing some type of blitz, I had to call in this play here and there or tell the guard to move on this direction or something like that. Sometimes I have to even give them a quick adjustment on certain plays, and it's the most difficult position.
Right.
And you got to snap and go quick on your blocks. Then you got to sometimes go block for a linebacker.
Right.
It's a very difficult position, but I know what it's like. But I wouldn't know what it's like in the highest level, but I know that's kind of like what most centers do. But, yeah, it's going to be an intriguing season. I think as far as, like, the expectation, dude, I think we still have the ceiling to go back to the conference championship. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to go anywhere higher than that because that's kind of like, we got to go by the expectation how we see it,
At this point, the floor is the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
The floor is the NFC Championship game, and the ceiling is winning the Super Bowl.
Yep.
To me, it really doesn't matter what we do in the regular season as long as we make the playoffs. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if we win. If we get home field advantage or we don't, or we win 1, 2, or 3 games in the playoffs. I mean, it's now or never, man. Like anything less than the Super Bowl is, in my opinion, a waste of the season. So for me, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what we do in the regular season. If we don't get to at least the NFC Championship game, it's a failure. But we got to win the Super Bowl, man. It's time.
It's Super Bowl or bust.
It's Super Bowl or bust. There is no a 10-7 season is a success. No, I don't really care about the playoffs. I don't really care what we do in the regular season. It's win the Super Bowl now. Is the clock ticking on Kyle? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to get fired if we don't. But there's just too much talent here, man. There's too much talent, and it's time. Our coaching is too good. Our players are too good, and I don't. Barring another catastrophic injury-filled season, I do not see a single team in the NFC that's going to challenge us. In the
I
playoffs.
think what really hurt. I think the only team that would challenge us is ourselves, because if you look at the games, we've played a lot of close games, but there was a couple of games where it came down to the injuries, and I don't want to make excuses about the injuries, but
it is what it is, man.
it is what it is. But our ceiling is NFC Championship and go from there. I'm not going to go anywhere further than that, because that's like me being a typical Cowboys fan, because a Cowboys fan always talks Super Bowl.
No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. All I'm saying is that now is the time. Cowboy fans say that they're going to win the Super Bowl every year. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
it's
our floor is the NFC Championship game, because that's where we've been living the last 3 years, 4 years.
Oh, yeah. Our floor is
to go to the promised land and win the Super Bowl. But, yeah, I'm not coming out like a Cowboys fan. All I'm saying is regular season be damned, divisional round, all the other rounds be damned. It's Super Bowl or nothing.
Super Bowl or nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The expectation is, I don't think most of our fan base even talk as much Super Bowl like the Cowboys. I mean, we have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. There's a difference. There's a difference between the Cowboys and the 49ers. At least we have a better chance to get there. And we can talk like it because we've been in the conference championship. We've been there and done it.
And we've beaten the Dallas Cowboys the last 2 years when we've been underdogs in both games.
It's like that. They think Dak is the almighty, and he turns out to be whatever he is, bro. It's like, dude, Dak Prescott lost to Jimmy Garoppolo, who's nothing more than an average quarterback, and he lost to the last pick in the draft, Brock Purdy, man. Mr. Irrelevant beat him. Yeah, so I don't know what else they could do. And maybe the Eagles would have lost to Mr. Irrelevant, and we would have never known.
I think the Eagles are going to be really good. I'm holding judgment off on them and saying they're not going to be as good as last year, simply because, most of their defense got gutted. We have one of their best players from last year, Javon Hargraves. They lost 2 of their linebackers, and their safety that they had in the Super Bowl currently plays with the Lions. So I'm wondering, what that defense is going to look like with all those rookies and second-year players they're going to play, because apparently they drafted like 3 or 4 players from Georgia again. So they're basically the Georgia Eagles.
Eagles.
And on top of it, they have a brand new offensive coordinator and a brand new defensive coordinator. So
it's going to be intriguing.
I'm not trying to oversell any of that or undersell any of that or say that these guys don't know what they're doing and they're going to tank. I'm just saying I want to see what they look like in the first few games and what their offense is going to look like and their defense before I make a judgment and say, oh, yeah, the Eagles are going to be able to challenge us this year again.
I think based by how they beat us, that they will give us some problems. But but I think there's going to be a sleeper team this upcoming season. There's always that team that always gives us the most challenges. So
I have a sleeper team that most people are not going to think is going to be a really good team this year.
Tell me.
I think the Washington football team is going to surprise a lot of people this year.
What?
I think Washington has a chance to not only be a playoff team, but if the Eagles don't do as well as I think, some people are going to find this really odd. I think Washington might actually win that division.
Ooh, it wouldn't surprise me because that division changes every year, so it could be different.
Here's why I say that. You got Ron Rivera, okay? You got Jack Del Rio, who orchestrated one of the better defenses in the league last year. Plus, you're getting Chase Young back, and you have Eric Bieniemy as your new offensive coordinator.
That should be.
I know everybody's going to say, "Oh, Sam Howell. Sam Howell's not a superstar.
He just has to manage the game."
Everything I've heard from all of those players, and I know what else are they going to say, but everything I've heard from those players is that this kid is taking the bull by the horn, and he's really leading them. So, I think Eric Bieniemy is going to put that kid in the best situation possible and run the ball, throw a lot of quick stuff, let those athletic wide receivers, Scary Terry, and I don't know who their other guy. Dotson, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to surprise, man. So that's my crazy pick for the upcoming season. Look out for Washington.
I think that could be a sleeper. But as far as a team that I think people need to watch out for, I might have to go on a different trend besides the Detroit Lions. I think Lions are good, but I want to go on another team that could easily surprise people. I think the New Orleans Saints is going to be that team because you look at what they've been lacking. They've been lacking the quarterback position. They got a really good defense. Their offense is pretty good. They just need a quarterback, and maybe Derek Carr is the answer. But I think
Jimmy Graham, that guy's like 40 years old.
no, but seriously, like the Saints need a quarterback. They've been a solid team, just no damn quarterback on any other way.
I'm with you. They got Michael Thomas. They got Chris Olave. You know, they just signed Jimmy Graham, who's going to be a safety net for Derek Carr. So I'm with you on that. How far can it's all about how far Derek Carr can take them.
And then
defensive is a defensive mind. So it's all about how far Derek Carr can take that team.
Yeah, and then the spoiler Lions, who knows? I think Lions could be another one.
I'm a big Lions fan.
You're a big believer.
I'm a big believer in the Lions. I think the Lions are going to win that division.
I think so too, because everybody's kind of underestimating a lot of these these Bears fans, a lot of these Packer fans, a lot of these Vikings are laughing at the Lions. I think they need to take a look in the mirror.
Well, I'm not knocking Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to be a great quarterback. I just don't know if DJ Moore is going to be the piece that takes that team to the next level with Darryl Mooney and Chase Claypool. I'm sorry. I think Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback. I just don't. That wide receiver room doesn't scream 10 wins. That wide receiver room doesn't scream, playoffs. I mean, I could be wrong. DJ Moore's a great player. I'm not knocking him as an individual, but I think just if Justin Fields can be more arm this year than legs, because he had to be more legs last year because his offensive line was so bad, and they did upgrade it. They drafted that big giant kid out of Tennessee, and they added another offensive lineman in free agency. I don't see the Bears shocking the world here. They won 3 games and we're the worst team in the league. I really don't see them jumping all the way up to 10 wins with what they added. I just don't.
I think they'll just make a step up. I think they'll win at least 7 games.
7 or 8 games is a huge
improvement. Yeah,
man. I would be ecstatic if I was them. If I went 8-9 this year, ecstatic.
Yeah, and that's
the worst team in the league last year. Winning 8 games after winning 3, that's huge.
And it'd probably be a lot better than the Packers. And it'll be a lot better than the Green Bay Packers, who I think might take a way step down. Maybe we're sleeping on them, but I don't know, man.
Hey, we'll see what Jordan Love can do, man.
Yeah, we'll see what Jordan Love can do, man. But
I've seen this. You want to talk about Jake Moody?
Oh, Jake Moody, the kicker from Michigan. We can talk about it.
We'll talk about him. I know Zane Gonzalez is still here, but do you think I don't really think Zane's going to have all that much of a chance to win this spot after what I've seen Jake do in practice. I said this before and I'll say it again. As long as the Niners don't put Jake Moody in too many win the game with your foot situations, I think the Niners will be just fine, and I think he'll be just fine. I expect him to make 80+% of his kicks. He's got a leg to hit from 60. He was hitting 70-yarders off a tee in practice, and he's got a long leg, so he can definitely do kickoffs, which Robbie Gould couldn't do. And I heard Mitch Wisnowski hurt his back. So Jake Moody, I think Jake Moody is as advertised. I think he's easily the best kicker in the country last year, and I think he's going to be, barring a total setback and him totally flopping, I think he's going to be the Niners kicker for a long time.
Yeah, I think as far as his strong leg, you got to look at consistency, and I think if he can prove otherwise, I mean, I might be a little critical on the pick, but I think if he can be consistent and be kind of like close to a Justin Tucker, then by all means it was worth the pick. But
oh yeah, I'm not saying he was worth a 3rd-round pick. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the team is so loaded. I get it. A lot of fans wanted a tackle, but if you hear what Kyle said that he didn't have any tackles in the draft that was going to beat out McKivitz week 1. So if you take that, then you take all the tackles off the board at that spot. I mean, he said if Jake Moody was there at 99, he was going to take him. That was the pick the whole time.
That
But
was
then
the
we
plan.
ended up trading up to get Jair Brown first and took Moody with the 99 pick, as they said they were going to. So it sounded like that was the plan all along. And I mean, that was the only spot on the team that needed filling with a starter. So
The kicker, yep.
if that was the guy you had, and that was where you thought you could get him without losing him, because according to Kyle, there was teams that were willing to take him in the very next round. So it was either take him at 99 or lose him. So
Yeah, and the Patriots took a kicker in that later round.
yeah, it took them. I think not too many more picks after that. So it was definitely the only position that needed filling with a starter. I mean, I get that everybody wanted a tackle and nobody trusts McKivitz, but I'm going to trust the coaching until the guy shows that he's not what they said he is.
Yeah, we'll see what he is, man. I'm intrigued by this. You know, I see that he has a strong leg and he can kick distance. He can do kickoffs. All I gotta look at is what he can do consistently, and if he does it consistently well, then by all means, this was a damn slam dunk pick by far. But if not, I think I'm just being critical about this spot. But hey, you need that position solidified. So I think Jake Moody was by far the best kicker in the draft, and it wasn't like it just wasn't by accident. He just made the kicks. He makes some strong kicks. I think when it comes to the short distance kicks, it's all about the consistency part is what I got to look at. But he seems like he's got a really strong leg.
Yep.
So for everybody else, man, thank you guys for tuning in. But for my boy Mike Finn, man, tell everybody where they can find your social media platform and we can chop it up.
I'm on Instagram. My tag on there is mfin99. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's at icecreamjudas5. That's all I got. I don't have any other social media other than those two.
All right, man. Oh, you say my bad.
No, I'm good. That's it.
Oh, but follow you on Instagram with
Instagram mfin FINN 99 on Instagram, and then at icecreamjudas5 on Twitter.
Ice Cream Judas. That sounds kicky right there. I don't know where you get that from. That sounds kicky.
Definitely not.
But all right, bro. For everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, CG is out and Mike Finn is out. Peace, y'all.